know, Sabrina talked about how Jesus saved a woman caught in adultery. And that was at our Battle of the Sexes night, which, girls, yeah, you totally won. And then last week at Wendy's, Casey talked about how Jesus fed 5,000 people with only 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. And I saw a couple guys, where are you guys? The ones that were eating like nonstop, ate enough for 5,000 people? Raise your hand if you were there. Yeah? Okay, that's okay. I was pretty impressed. So the reason that Jesus saved the woman caught in adultery and the reason that he fed 5,000 people was because he loved all those people involved and he loved them a lot. And that's why we talked about all these stories. We talked about tons of different stories of Jesus performing crazy miracles. We talked about how he's the Son of God and how God sent him to earth because he loves us. But I know that's kind of confusing, and it could be your first time hearing that. And I know my first time hearing that, I was confused, and I didn't understand. And my first time hearing some of those stories and hearing that God loved me was at a Young Life club similar to this on a Monday night, and I was just sitting there playing crazy games, asking if I peed in the shower, and I was like, no, why would I say that? You know, freshman girl, you're embarrassed to, I don't even know what kind of question that was. But then I heard these stories, and I heard that Jesus loved me, and I was really confused. And I thought to myself, how could God love me? And I didn't understand because I felt like, if, you know, you have to know someone to love them, and I felt like God didn't know me, and I felt like even if he did know me, he wouldn't love me. And the reason I felt that way is actually kind of something personal, so I just asked that you would just listen to kind of something that I kept a secret growing up. And it's just about my dad. My dad, who I pretend is my dad at least, is just my stepdad, and I would literally like lie to people making up stories from when I was like a baby with my dad and pretend that he was my dad. But he's a great dad, but I was bummed because my biological father and mom were not married when they had me, so I was not planned by them. And he bailed when I was only 2 years old. So, you know, growing up, sometimes I kind of felt like I wasn't very lovable because if my own dad couldn't stick around, why would I be lovable? And I didn't really feel like I was made on purpose because they didn't really plan me to be on purpose. So that's how I felt. But something that I've heard recently kind of changed my mind about that. And it's from the Bible, and I just wanted to share that with you really quick. And I don't know how much you know about the Bible. I know when I was sitting where you guys were, I knew nothing. And so I just want to say this really quick. It's not just some weird book that religious people read that is, I'm going to tell you some wishy-washy story out of that God loved you. It's real, and I mean, it's one of the most historically accurate books in history, so just take this seriously and don't take it lightly. Okay, let me find it really quick. Okay, so it's from Psalm 139 of the Bible. You have searched me, God, and you know me. You know when I sit down and when I rise. You perceive my thoughts from afar. You know my going out and my lying down, and you are familiar with all my ways. Now listen to this part too. Before a word is on my tongue, you, God, know it completely. So that's saying that God knows what you're doing, what you're thinking, and what you're going to say, and he knows it before you even do or say or think any of those things. And that seems kind of scary. I know the first time I heard that, I was like, oh crap, God knows what I'm thinking all the time. Like, that's kind of scary, right? He knew that I felt, you know, ashamed that I didn't have my real dad and all of those feelings and thoughts that, you know, sometimes you're embarrassed to have. And yeah, I don't even, you know, I didn't even tell my closest friends that. But it's not scary because God isn't just some big policeman in the sky trying to give you a ticket every time you have a bad thought, because we'd probably be in a lot of debt if that was the case. I just wanted to read that part to you because I think it's important. And then there's one other part that I want to read, and it's about how much he thinks about you. And he thinks about you, and he's not mad at those thoughts because he designed the way you think. He designed your hearts and your minds and your strengths and your weaknesses. And it says later in the same chapter that I was reading before about how when our moms were pregnant with us, he was literally designing our minds and our brains and our hearts, and like I said, their strengths and their weaknesses. And that's why some of you are class clowns and some of you are quiet, and that's why Danielle gets up here and makes you all crack up, and I probably can't tell a joke to save my life, but that's okay. That's just the way God made me. And so just keep that in mind. That God made you on purpose, for a purpose. And then there's one other part that I want to read to you. And it says, how precious to me are your thoughts, God. How vast is the sum of them. If I were to count them, they would outnumber the grains of sand. So this is saying that God thinks about you constantly. And it saying that he thinks about you more than the amount of sand that there is on the whole world. So we're going to do something that's going to take kind of a long time, but just bear with me. Okay, so we're going to count the sand. See it? There's kind of a lot, but I mean, it's just a little cup, so it shouldn't be that long, right? Okay, so ready? And each grain of sand represents one of God's thoughts of you. Okay, ready? Count. There's 1, 2. You're laughing. We're serious. 3 thoughts of you. All right, okay, we're not really going to count that, but look at all that. That's a lot of sand, and that's just one little cup. Think of every grain of sand on every beach, on every country in the whole world. Like, that's a lot of sand, and even that doesn't come close to the amount of times that God thinks about all of you. And I know that sounds weird, and you might be wondering why would God think of you that much, but it's because he designed you and he made you, and he wants you to know that you're important, and that he designed each of you and me for a purpose, on purpose, and he actually enjoys thinking about you. And I know that sounds weird, but he does. You know, like when you have a new little boyfriend or girlfriend, and you like in your free time, you're like, oh, think about them. Like, that's fun. That's how God is with us, but on a way bigger scale. So just think about that. And when I finally realized that, it was last summer when I finally met my biological father for the first time, and it didn't go very well, and it was not what I expected. It definitely wasn't what I wanted, but it helped me realize that my stepdad is the perfect fit to be my dad, and that was something I kind of knew and realized growing up, but I didn't really believe it until I met him, and I could really see that was the case. And after that, instead of focusing on all the thoughts that my biological father didn't have of me, I started focusing on all the thoughts that God does have of me, and he has those thoughts on all of you. And so I just want you, as you keep coming to Young Life, which I hope you do, and we talk about Jesus and we talk about different stories from the Bible, I want you to remember that the reason God sent Jesus is because he loves you and he made you on purpose and made you for a purpose. And so just keep that in mind over these next several weeks when you hear the stories and you wonder why. That's why, because he loves you and you're important and he made you on purpose. And so just ask yourselves that over the next few days. Ask yourself if you believe it. And all of us leaders, we want to talk to you about that. We want to answer any questions that you have. And if we don't know, we will talk to someone a lot smarter than we are. Who knows? So just don't be afraid to ask questions. It's okay. And so with that, I just want to say thank you for letting me share that really personal story and for letting me share with you.